The sun rose slowly over Neo-London, casting golden light across the towering skyline. Among the silver buildings, one stood taller than all, the headquarters of Purrfect, a powerful tech company known for its strict rules and secretive projects. Inside the building's shiny glass lobby, the morning rush had already begun. Staff in sleek suits walked quickly, coffee in hand, heads down. Security bots rolled across the floor, scanning badges. Everyone looked busy. Everyone looked important. Then, the glass doors slid open with a soft whoosh. A woman stepped in, quiet, calm, and completely out of place. Her name was Etta. She wore a plain gray janitor uniform, a cleaning bag over her shoulder. Her skin was deep brown, her face lined with age and wisdom. Her curly hair was tied back simply. She walked with slow steps, taking in every detail of the lobby. Her eyes paused on the wall of executive portraits, smiling faces of powerful men and women in black suits. One photo made her stop. Her gaze stayed on it just a little longer than the rest. Behind the front desk, the young receptionist frowned. She picked up her phone and whispered, "Janitor just came in. Kind of old." Two interns passed by, laughing under their breath. One said, "Did they get her from a museum?" The other replied, "Guess they'll hire anyone these days." But Etta said nothing. She walked slowly, carefully, without reacting. A slim woman with sharp eyes, Lexa, met her near the elevators. She was the HR assistant, young, proud, and always judging people by appearance. Lexa didn't smile. She just handed Etta a digital tablet. "You'll be working the top floor. Don't touch anything important. Don't speak to anyone unless spoken to. Understand?" Etta nodded. Lexa gave a fake smile and added under her breath, "Try not to get lost." As Etta stepped into the private elevator, a security officer glanced at her uniform and waved her through. No ID scan. No questions. Just a janitor. Why bother? The elevator doors closed. Inside the silence, Etta looked up at the camera lens in the corner. Then, she slowly pulled up her sleeve. There, hidden under the loose cuff, was something unexpected. A high-tech wrist implant. Its lights blinked in a strange pattern, green, then blue, then red. She stared at it for a moment. Then, as the elevator rose, she calmly pulled her sleeve back down. Ding. The top executive floor was quiet, clean, and cold. Glass offices lined the hallway. Transparent walls revealed important people speaking into holograms, showing charts and codes no outsider could understand. Etta pushed her mop cart down the hallway, her footsteps echoing softly on the marble floor. A young man in a fancy suit walked past and didn't even notice her. A woman in high heels wrinkled her nose at the sight of her mop bucket. Etta cleaned silently, but while she worked, her eyes were always watching. She paused for a moment outside a meeting room. Through the glass, she saw 4 people laughing around a table. One of them pointed at the security footage on a small screen. The footage showed Etta walking through the lobby just minutes ago. They were laughing at her. "She doesn't even know how to hold the mop," one of them joked. "Probably never seen a floor this clean before," another added. Etta moved on, showing no emotion. She came to a large office with frosted glass doors. The nameplate read A. Thorne, CEO. She stared at the door for 3 seconds. Then, quietly, she moved past it and began cleaning nearby. As she wiped the edges of the glass walls, her sleeve slid up again just slightly. The blinking wrist implant was visible once more, faster now, almost pulsing. She paused and glanced at her reflection in the glass. Then, she smiled, just for a second. Farther down the hallway, Lexa was speaking to a security guard. "I don't like her," Lexa whispered. "She's too quiet, and she keeps staring at things like she doesn't belong here, but also like she owns the place." The guard shrugged. "She's just a janitor." Lexa narrowed her eyes. "Still, keep an eye on her." Back in the hallway, Etta gently placed her mop back in the cart. She turned and looked at a wall full of encrypted access doors. She didn't try to open any, but she memorized the layout, door numbers, keypad styles, guard rotations. Every detail went into her mind like puzzle pieces. Then, slowly, she moved on. As she stepped back into the elevator, her eyes scanned the hallway one last time. The doors closed. Her reflection stared back at her in the shiny metal wall. In that reflection, the wrist implant glowed brighter. And for the first time, it spoke. A tiny voice buzzed in her ear. Surveillance complete. Next phase ready. The next morning, Etta returned to work just like before. Same gray uniform. Same slow, silent steps. Same calm face. But something was different. Today, everyone on the executive floor noticed her. Lexa stood near the elevator, pretending to check her tablet, but her eyes were fixed on Etta. 2 guards stood nearby, watching too. The building had more security now. Drones hovered silently near the ceilings, their red eyes blinking. Etta said nothing. She simply walked to her supply cart, grabbed her mop, and began cleaning. She started with the windows, slowly wiping each one, top to bottom. Her reflection shimmered in the glass, but if anyone looked closely, they'd see her eyes moving fast. Left, right, up, down. She wasn't just cleaning. She was scanning. From behind a nearby desk, a young man named Jaden leaned closer to his coworker. "Why do they have janitors on our floor?" he asked. "That lady gives me weird vibes." The woman beside him whispered, "I heard she asked about server room directions yesterday." Jaden raised an eyebrow. Why would a janitor ask about the server room? At that moment, Lexa stormed into the hallway. She walked straight to Etta. "I need to see your ID," she said sharply. Etta stopped mopping. She looked at Lexa, then slowly reached into her pocket. She pulled out a plastic ID badge, official, complete with the company seal, hologram, and clearance level. Lexa scanned it with her tablet. Green light. Approved. Lexa's jaw tightened. "Who hired you?" "HR," Etta replied calmly. Her voice was soft but firm. Lexa turned to a nearby guard. "Pull her file. I want to see who authorized this." The guard nodded and walked off. Etta continued cleaning. 10 minutes later, Lexa's tablet beeped. She looked down. Her face turned pale. The screen read, "Access denied. File locked by executive order." Lexa's hand trembled slightly. "Executive order," she muttered. "That's not possible." She looked back toward Etta, but the janitor had already moved on. In the break room, Etta stood alone. She slowly stirred sugar into a cup of tea. No one else was in the room. She walked to the window and looked out at the city below. From her wrist, a tiny whisper came through the implant. "Phase 2 initiated. Tap into comm lines." She sat on a bench, sipping tea, looking relaxed, but her hand gently rested on the wall behind her. Tiny blue lights blinked from under her sleeve. The wall she touched was no ordinary wall. It held encrypted communication wires. Her implant blinked again. Accessing. Decrypting. Listening. Suddenly, voices buzzed into her ear. "Did you see her file? It's blocked. No name. No birth date. You think she's a spy? No janitor gets assigned this floor by accident. CEO needs to know. This could be serious." Etta closed her eyes. She listened carefully. Then she stood, threw away her cup, and returned to her cart like nothing happened. In the hallway, Jaden noticed something strange. "Where's her mop?" he asked. His coworker blinked. Wasn't she just mopping that corner? They looked at the shiny floor. Spotless. Too spotless. There were no wet marks, no soap smell, no water at all. Jaden leaned closer to his friend. "I think she's not really a janitor." Just then, the elevator dinged. Etta stepped in alone, and the doors closed behind her. Inside, she whispered to the implant under her sleeve. "They're starting to notice. We begin tomorrow." The implant buzzed back. "Confirmed. Target. CEO's office. Access in 24 hours. The camera in the elevator watched her. But for the first time, she looked directly at it and smiled. The next day, something strange happened in the building. Security was tighter than ever. More drones floated in the halls. More guards stood near doors that used to stay open. But Etta, the janitor, still moved freely. No one stopped her. She didn't speak much. She just did her job, quietly wiping tables, pushing her cart, mopping shiny floors. But she watched everything. Behind her calm face, her mind was moving fast. In her pocket was a small scanner hidden inside a cloth. Every time she wiped a desk or a wall, she scanned something. She was mapping the building. On the 47th floor, near the CEO's wing, she noticed something strange. A panel in the wall was not like the others. It had no seams, no buttons, no locks. But when she wiped over it with her cloth, her implant blinked blue. Door detected, hidden access point, high-level encryption. She paused for just a moment, then continued mopping like nothing happened. Across the hall, Lexa was watching through a security camera. She zoomed in. She keeps circling that part of the wall, Lexa whispered to herself. She tapped her screen. Security, she said. Send a drone to 47C. Something's wrong with the janitor. Minutes later, a floating drone glided silently down the hallway toward Etta. She didn't turn, didn't flinch. She calmly walked toward the supply closet. The drone followed her. Inside the closet, she closed the door. The drone hovered near her head. Then, it shut down. Its red eye blinked once, then went black. It fell to the floor with a thud. From her pocket, Etta pulled out a small silver device, no bigger than a coin. EMP pulse complete. She tucked the device away and opened a hidden panel inside the closet. Behind it was a glowing touch screen. She tapped twice. A digital blueprint of the building appeared. She zoomed in. There it was, the hidden door. Next to it, a label, Omega Vault, Executive Secrets Only. She stared at it for a long moment. Then she spoke softly into her implant. I found the vault. A calm voice responded. Good. You'll enter tomorrow. Final phase. Suddenly, she heard footsteps outside the closet. Someone was coming. Etta quickly reset the panel, stepped out, and acted surprised. Oh, she said, holding her mop. I was looking for extra towels. Lexa stood there with 2 guards. Funny, Lexa said coldly. This closet isn't on your assigned route. Etta smiled gently. I've got lost. Big building. The guards looked confused. Check her, Lexa ordered. One guard moved forward, but as soon as he scanned her badge, his scanner froze. Error, corrupted code. He looked at Lexa. Ma'am, this badge is military grade. I've never seen one like this. Lexa's face changed. Take her to my office, she said. Etta calmly nodded. Of course. As she followed them down the hallway, the camera zoomed in on her face. Still calm, still quiet. Lexa sat behind her glass desk, fingers tapping hard against her tablet. 2 guards stood near the door. Etta, the janitor, stood calmly in front of them. I want the truth, Lexa said coldly. Who are you really? Etta looked around the fancy office, bright lights, tall windows, glowing screens. Then she looked at Lexa. I told you, she said gently. I'm the janitor. Lexa laughed once. Wrong answer. She turned her tablet around. A paused video showed Etta inside the supply closet. It showed her using a hidden screen and pulling out a strange device. You shut down a drone. You accessed a private panel. And your badge? Not from this company. One guard stepped forward. Lexa nodded. Check her again. Full scan. The guard pulled out a scanner and held it close to Etta's wrist. BEP. ERROR. Clearance level. CEO only. The guard froze. Lexa stood slowly. What kind of janitor has CEO level clearance? Etta finally looked her in the eyes. Someone the CEO trusts. Lexa narrowed her eyes. That's not possible. Before she could say more, the office door opened. Everyone turned. A tall man in a black suit stepped in. It was Mr. Ryland, the CEO. The room went silent. Ryland walked past the guards without a word. He looked at Etta, then at Lexa. You can leave us, he said firmly. Lexa looked shocked. But sir, I said leave. Lexa and the guards stepped out slowly, confused and shaken. The door closed. Ryland turned to Etta. You weren't supposed to trigger security yet, he said calmly. She was watching me too closely, Etta replied. I had to adapt. Ryland nodded. Did you find it? Yes, Etta said. The Omega Vault. It's hidden behind a false wall on floor 47. Ryland walked to the window and stared out over Neo-London. You know what's in there? Etta gave a short nod. The truth. About this company. He turned around. And if you open it? I will expose everything, Etta finished. The stolen tech, the fake projects, the brain scans, the forced tests. A long silence. Then Ryland sighed. You are always smarter than me. He walked over and placed a hand gently on her shoulder. I told them not to laugh at you, but they didn't listen. I noticed, Etta replied. Ryland smiled sadly. When this is over, they'll know exactly who you are. Etta raised an eyebrow. You sure you want them to? Ryland looked her in the eyes. You're my mother. You raised me to fight for truth. So do what you came to do. He stepped aside and opened a drawer in his desk. Inside was a sleek black card, Omega Access Level. He handed it to her. Take this. And be careful. There are people here who will do anything to keep that vault closed. Etta took the card and tucked it inside her sleeve. Then she turned toward the door. I'll finish this tomorrow. Ryland watched her leave. He didn't smile. He looked worried, because he knew once the vault opened, the company would never be the same again. It was 3:00 a.m. The building was dark and silent. Most of the staff had gone home. Only a few late-night security bots floated through the halls. But on floor 47, something was happening. Etta stood in front of a blank wall. She looked just like a janitor again. Old gloves, a mop in one hand, a cleaning cart beside her. But hidden in her pocket was the black Omega Access card the CEO had given her. She glanced left and right. No cameras, no guards. Then, she pulled out the card and tapped it lightly on the wall. Click. The wall made a soft mechanical sound. A hidden panel slid open, revealing a scanner. Etta placed her hand on it. BEP. Identified. AVLOBMEGA. Access granted. The wall split down the middle and slowly opened to reveal a narrow glowing hallway. Etta stepped inside. As the wall closed behind her, the lights turned red. Far away in the control room, Lexa's private alert system blinked. She was asleep on her office couch, but the blinking screen woke her up. She rubbed her eyes and froze. ALART. Unauthorized entry. Vault 47. Lexa's eyes widened. She's in. She grabbed her coat, locked her office, and rushed out. Inside the vault, Etta walked slowly. Rows of floating data files hovered in the air. Screens lined the walls, playing videos from hidden experiments, secret meetings, projects never approved by the public. She stopped in front of one labeled PROGCSERAP8IM. She touched the screen. A video played. A young girl, barely 10, sat in a white room. Wires were connected to her head. Scientists watched behind glass. This is wrong, Etta whispered. They said this was all shut down. She opened more files. Names of test subjects, brain recordings, genetic scans. All stolen, all hidden. Then she found a file with her name on it. ATTA Morgan. State US. Surviving subject. Her hands shook. She had been part of this project once. That's why she remembered the symbols, the locked rooms, the smell of the labs. This company had tried to erase her, but she came back. Not for revenge, but for justice. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the vault. Well, you really are full of surprises. Etta turned fast. Lexa stood at the entrance, holding a small laser gun. 2 armed guards stepped in behind her. Etta didn't move. Lexa smirked. You should have stayed a janitor. Etta raised an eyebrow. You should have listened when I warned you to stop watching me. Lexa laughed coldly. You broke into a level no one touches. You're not leaving this floor. But then, the vault lights turned white. All screens turned to one live feed. Mr. Ryland, the CEO, appeared on every screen. He looked angry. "Lexa," he said. "Step away from her. Now." Lexa blinked. "Sir, you don't understand." "I do understand," he snapped. "You just aimed a weapon at my mother." Everyone froze. The guards looked at each other, unsure. Etta stood tall now, her voice calm. "I told you," she said. "I'm just the janitor. But I'm also the reason this company exists." Lexa dropped the gun. Too late. The guards had already stepped aside. Etta walked past them and looked at the nearest camera. "It's time the world knew the truth," she said. She inserted the Omega card into the main console. One click. The files began uploading to every screen across the city. A countdown began. Gil Obail Data Release 0300. Lexa screamed, but it was over. The secrets were out. And Etta? She just turned, grabbed her mop again, and walked away. Because her job here was done. The city woke up to chaos. Every major news screen, phone, and tablet now showed the same files. Top secret. KOGCTSERHPHIM exposed. Company XPRMENTD on CHILDRN. CEO's Mother, case EVREting. Reporters ran to the tower. Protesters gathered outside. The building was locked down by sunrise. Inside, the boardroom was in panic. Executives shouted over one another, waving tablets and papers. What did she release? Who is she really? Why didn't security stop her? Then the CEO walked in, Mr. Ryland. He looked tired but calm. Everyone went silent. He walked to the head of the table and placed a single item down. A janitor's name tag, Etta Morgan. "She is my mother," he said firmly. "She built this company with me from nothing. Then, years ago, she disappeared after. They tried to erase her." Executives looked down in shame. "She came back to see if we were still honest," he continued. Clearly we weren't. Then he looked straight at Lexa, who was now pale and quiet. "You're fired," he said. "And under investigation." Lexa didn't speak. Security escorted her out. Meanwhile, Etta stood on the roof of the tower, quietly watching the rising sun. Her face was calm. A young intern nervously stepped onto the roof. "Ms. Morgan." She turned slowly. I just wanted to say thank you," he said. "For what you did. My little sister was part of that project. We never knew the truth." Etta smiled gently. The truth always finds its way. By noon, headlines around the world told the story of a janitor who wasn't just cleaning floors. She was cleaning out corruption. People began calling her the silent mother online, a symbol of strength, of quiet power. But Etta didn't care about fame. She left the tower quietly that afternoon. No limo, no press. Just her cleaning cart and her soft steps down the marble lobby. As she passed the same receptionist who once frowned at her, the woman stood up in shock. I didn't know," she stammered. Etta nodded. "You never asked." She walked out into the busy street. Final scene. Weeks later, a small new company opened in a quiet part of Neo-London. It had no flashy signs or ads. Just a small door, a warm waiting room. And above the entrance, 3 simple words glowed. Truth, justice, hope. Inside, Etta sat behind a desk, watching children play in a tech learning room. She smiled. She wasn't just the janitor anymore. She was the cleaner of broken systems. And her work was just beginning.